Hello. I'd like to thank myself for recommending myself for this position. Feels great. It feels great to have been awarded this position. Um, it's great to lead all these people that listen to it in some direction and um, lead you all on and make things up. And it's just like, well, I'm saying these things, but it's not really about leadership, is it? Um, no, probably not. I don't think that I don't think that leadership is that important of a quality, or it doesn't have to be the most important. Or what if it's just kind of arbitrary, like anybody can lead at any time, rather than that there has to be a leader. I don't want to be a leader. But then if I think about having an audience and them listening to me, then it's like, oh, well, they would go, you have to feel burdened with what you're influencing, um, because I would feel guilty. I feel guilty about things. I don't always want to lead anybody in a way or be saying things because I know what they mean. I wouldn't really want to do that all the time. It's just kind of like it's more fun if it wasn't about leading anybody. Thinking of this, making a podcast and like creating something, it would be a lot more fun if I wasn't thinking of it like I needed to lead, or it's like I didn't need to involve leadership. Like if I don't have to lead anybody, then it doesn't really matter because it's not a burden. And so things don't really need to be burdened, but maybe it's more fun to make them a burden or to have some sort of indebtedness. Like maybe that adds to character or something. I mean, maybe sometimes, I don't know, like being a victim that can give you a nice backstory, and people don't want to question victimhood very much. Like people play the victim, we respect the victim, don't we? Don't you? Doesn't everybody? We all respect the victim. I mean, not everybody does, but we respect the term enough that we're like, oh, they're a victim, or we like, and people get mad at you for questioning victims, so we can't really attack victims in a lot of cases. And so, the victim, um, the victim gets credit for nothing. But it's fun to have that I don't want to lead anybody. I don't really want to be a character of any kind. I don't want to have to express myself in any certain way. And but like but at the point that I add additional rules for myself, then it's like I don't know, maybe it's like categorizing or marketing for an audience, or the same as making rules is like setting up boundaries between things that you'll say for certain people. And then but because you don't want like who your audience might be to take it wrong or then be burdened with them misinterpreting it. And then this is a drama that I deal in for doing this. That's a drama that I partake in. And I'm saying maybe that applies to everybody who's on YouTube, or anybody who does like commentary videos or something. I don't know. And then I think about like, oh, this is the way that you look, or this is the way that you play back for somebody. Like if I watch the video back, it's like this experience is it's just like it's weird, the drama of it, or because if I have to worry about people misinterpreting it, then then that's a problem. But like, um, feeling guilty, that's interesting. Sometimes that's real, that's raw. Some people are just authentic, or like you would have a hard time matching their authenticity. I don't know if I am authentic or if I'm like fake. I don't really know. But it would kind of depend on what you like more. Like if you're authentic, you can kind of be consistent as the same thing and you don't have to hide behind anything. But like being fake can make you just as successful, and you can hide behind everything. But it's like being just as successful but being able to hide as everything, or like morph into anything that you want temporarily, say like speak for many different niche audiences or many different voices. If you're successful at being fake, then you're just kind of like unidentified. If you're successful at being authentic, then you're more identified. This is original theory from the Identity podcast. Um, it's just, this is like set in stone. This is real. When I speak on like things like that, then I'm referencing theory that I created, and then so you have to believe it. So, um, just all of the things that I've said so far, if you would please go so far as to believe every single one of them, that would be awesome. I would love it, but you might be in a world of delusion or something if you did that, especially trying to figure out what I meant completely. Don't believe what I'm saying. I'm not to be believed in reality. It shouldn't be like that. Um, why the motherfuck should I be believed? Answer me that. Like, I just wonder if I could do this that I'm doing now in front of a live audience. That would be cool. I'm not courageous enough to attempt to do that because I don't want to ruin anybody's night because I'm not that bold. I wish that I was more. I try to accelerate myself in the direction of increased boldness, and it doesn't always pay off. Like, the rate that I accelerate is has been so slow, like that I try to get into things. It's just retardation factor. I must be getting retarded. Oh well. I already talked about The Good Doctor, I think. I don't remember. It's just that, like, if the good doctor on that TV show, the good doctor is autistic, if that's the good doctor, then the best doctor is, like, must be full-blown retarded, according to the way that show works. The best doctor is like, duh. I did one of those motions. I apologize, but I'm allowed to do that because I'm retarded. So, unless you are more retarded than I am, I really don't want to hear anything back about it. Like, and you're gonna have to prove that you had the experience of being more retarded than me. Like, you're gonna have to do an impression of the thing that I did, and then I'll judge whether or not you're have the authority over it. So if you can complain about me being that, that's like I'm trying to adapt a. That's something that I wanted to say on stage, but I'm trying to adapt it for this podcast. Now I'm nervous about adapting it. Speaking of like you also can't talk about being nervous because it's the same thing as embarrassment. In case you listen to some of my theory and my dialogues on embarrassment, um, it's the same thing. That's like you got to believe that. You got to believe it. Um, it's the same thing, like you can't say that you were nervous because like, oh, you're nervous about something. Because that's going to make everybody else nervous. It's like, oh, everybody's trying to be relaxed. Everybody's like, hey, dude, people are going to get pissed at you for not bringing on a chill environment. In most cases, everybody wants you to relax because we're like, Everyone just wants you to go to sleep. It's kind of like the people that want you to stay inside during the pandemic and wear masks and like not make any noise anymore and just act like a person who's sleeping while walking around and like nobody hears from you because maybe you're just sleeping at your house. People want you. I mean, it's people. That's the problem. Oh, it's fucking people again. People are gonna come after you. It's like people, you know. Yeah, you can't really say that you're nervous because because it's kind of maybe the contagiousness of it is too assumed, or people are too afraid of nervousness that they're like superstitiously think that nervousness is always going to cause nervousness in other people, like, or I would definitely think that also. I could speak for people, I can speak for myself. I would also feel like maybe I superstitiously think that nervousness makes other people nervous, but it probably does, but like it depends on how you deliver the nervousness. But it's like society maybe doesn't get to approach nervousness. That's why people have a fear of public speaking, because you don't want to fall into one of these holes where it's like now you're just a glitch in reality where you don't even appear as anything to the person watching you, like you did something so tremendously stupid that you're out of anybody's like possible recognition of it, that you like nobody could even recognize what you did. If you did something so terrible, public speaking, like getting nervous, like that's one of the holes you can't fall into, because people see your nervousness. You're like, oh, like you're just not allowed to go into that territory normally. So you're like, oh, that's why I have a fear of public speaking, or have had it in the past. It's just like you don't want people to see you be nervous. Isn't that always the problem, really? Isn't that always it? And it's like, then it's just because of a taboo of nervousness in society where people are like afraid of it. And so we kind of shun it, and then it's ugly when it appears, like to our society, maybe just because America doesn't want you to look that way. Or it's just kind of like how we don't like ugly people, or like obviously it's just like popularly speaking, like you're gonna like pretty people popularly, and but then I'm just saying nervousness, you don't like, ew, get it out of here, because people don't, it's the same, just any environment, like people who make successful podcasts, they're not going to introduce awkwardness into it because they're trying to create a relaxed environment for the person watching it. It's bananas, because it's almost like never introducing a horror element into it or something like that. Like everything just remains on this positive side, like it only happens in this one half of the space with like a positive, and there's a negativity that they need, that who needs, that anybody needs, any podcast, that I'm just saying, like, negativity probably is more the future, like the generation of podcasting that is above mine. I'd say like people in their 30s and 40s that do podcasting, they started off by doing positivity in like the same way as the progression of popular music. Well, I don't know. It was always negative and positive progression of popular music. But podcasting anyway. I mean, that was something I was just about to completely make up, but it's not it's not like what I'm saying the entire time isn't something I'm making up. It's just that different ways of delivering it are accurate, so they don't, so it's like it doesn't get made up. And then as long as you just keep saying new things, then it's not made up, but it's kind of like fall into the same patterns, the same routines. I mean, that's really rough. that can be so the roughest when you fall into the same patterns, the same routines. I believe it, yeah. The same patterns, the same routines, that's rough on you. So you gotta get out of that. And then it's just that it's just that consistency and that focus and that drive is what you have to have. It's that drive, and it's powering through it. It's enduring. It's going until the last second, until the last bell. And it's being your best self. It's not blaming the other guy. It's not about that. It's about like placing yourself in the situation to match the situation, and think about what your opponent is, and then how you're going to fight it. But it's like in your preparation. No, I don't want to fall into the same patterns and the same routines, because that gets pretty rhetorical. But it's like rhetorical, it's just that it's really just a matter of what I want, because rhetorical isn't bad. It's just kind of more authentic and identified, like rhetorical, because the more that you say it, or it's like I don't know, it becomes more obvious or identifiable or characteristic of you, or you're making a character of yourself through it. If you say something too many times, like when it becomes rhetoric, when it's like a repeated statement, and then it turns into some sort of rule or some sort of authority at some point, because it's like a pattern or a repeated pathway that's known. Like when you say something enough times, it just becomes rhetoric for you, like as a character, especially if it's like we see it with politicians the most, or news anchors, when they have an agenda, or like when they have an agenda, it's like something they can't break from. It's like it's rhetoric. It's repeating it. Rhetoric. It's saying it once and then saying it again. Rhetoric. Repetitiveness. Repetition once and then again. Repetition. Again and again, repeating, going into the same patterns and the same routines. It's getting into all that rhetoric. Same patterns. The same patterns and the same routines. I'm not talking about different ones, like when you do the same thing over and over and over again, or get into the same patterns and the same routines. Sorry about that. I'm sorry. I apologize. It's just like now it'll break from the pattern, but I just like to hold you hostage. But that's what is the aim. I mean, it's kind of like becoming more authoritative through becoming more authentic through doing something too many times. But it's like, do you value obviosity as a person, or do you value differences? It's like, do you value realness or fakeness as a person? But it's like, it behooves me to explain myself rhetorically, or using rhetoric, or using repeated statements, because I don't want to do that, because it's a matter of what I want. Like, I don't want to be real, I don't think. I think I'd rather be fake, right? Aren't we all on board with that? Not everybody would be on board with that, but it's that way. Like in that, same as that in Tame Impala song, and they say it in there. They say it in a Tame Impala song that came out a few years ago, that they like what's fake as opposed to what's real, and that's like it's a pop culture reference. I like Tame Impala. They're pretty good. Yeah, I'm serious. I do. I like Tame Impala. What have I been listening to recently? Well, holding you hostage, I'm just like falling into the same patterns and the same routines. Um, I listened to that Rin Weaver album that there's only one of. I listened to that a lot recently. There's only one of that album by Rin Weaver, the singer, and like it's a popular album, and then she made it like 6 years ago. She hasn't made anything since, and that's kind of interesting. So fuck you, that is interesting. I'm just like listening to people that are getting mad at me for talking about something too specific, or yeah, maybe like I'm not specific enough, but it's like being specific is kind of like being fake, maybe. Or like general, I don't know, as general is maybe more real. Or general could be more fake, but specific should be real. Specific, it's just that like you wouldn't want to be specific as an entire person. Or at least I wouldn't. It doesn't really matter, like as long as Trump's going to be president the next cycle, then we don't have to worry about any of this. So, long live President Trump, and then he's going to introduce the 1,000-year reign of the Trump empire, and we're all going to reign victoriously under his sheltering wings. It's going to be a tremendous utopia, one the world has never seen before. It's going to be huge. It's going to be it's going to be tremendous. You've never seen anything like it. You've never seen anything like it. It's the first time. It's the first time in all of history that this has ever happened. You'll never see anything like it again. The 1,000-year reign of Donald Trump. I can't wait for 2024 to start so we can get into that. I'm just kidding about that. I don't want to divide audiences. I don't think that I care. I don't care who's the president. Maybe I just won't vote. Let's just not vote. I'm kind of team not vote and get rid of the politicians overall. Stop voting. That's the new Libertarian Party, okay? Forget the Libertarians. It's time to stop voting. That's the party. It already has the majority in America. It already has more than both the Republican and the liberals individually. I feel like when Trump was president, this country was more loopy. And now Biden is president and everybody just wants to go to sleep. But when Trump was president, I feel like that was just the Joe Rogan heyday. And now things have hit a lull because it's almost like we're back in the Obama years. But when Trump was president, all the conspiracy theorists were given like new strength and new hope. And those were the glory days. Like those were some of the best 4 years that this country has ever seen. And now we're in shut-eye land as a country. Like things were fun when the pandemic was happening. Things were a fucking blast. I miss it. And now we're just kind of like empty, I think. Now we've seen, it's kind of like when I drive around and get this, I am driving on the freeway and I'm in one of the lanes, and then I'm like driving on the freeway. I think, yes, that's what I'm doing. I'm driving on the freeway, and then one of the lanes ends, and I don't know that the lane is ending until like the cones are right in my face. And there's just a semi that's right next to me in the only lane that I can get into. And then I made it out of the situation without crashing, but it felt like that I was gonna die. And then when I realized that it would be fine, it just was so exhilarating. Like being on the brink of death just like that, just like what One Republic says, everything that kills me makes me feel alive. That's what I was trying to channel for you today. That's horrifying. I'm sorry for that. Hopefully God doesn't strike me down for ruining a completely good episode by referencing One Republic. But it's like a reference that doesn't kill you, right? I just kind of like to engage in a little bit of self-sabotage anyway. But like referencing self-sabotage, referencing, yeah, like like referencing vulnerability or something. I guess those are difficult. You wouldn't bring those up in conversation, actually, because the audience just wants to have a chill ass time. Everything's a fun party. Everything is fun. We're just trying to have fun, man. Like, you wouldn't reference your vulnerable problems just like for, especially if people that you don't know that much. You're not going to bring that up in public. That's why you do it in private. But don't do it in private. But I mean, I guess, yeah, do it in private for your friends and your soul sisters if you want to. Yeah. You can also share that with your loved ones and your dependents. Feel free to share that with your dependents if you wish. Whatever it was that I said. Yes, things were the Wild West when it was Donald Trump, and now it's like all that loopiness. It's just like it's just like really it's more depressing. It's not as fun because it's more rational. I feel like rationality is having fun or something. I think that rationality is coming out of rationality really kind of sucks. That's the political nature of things. Rationality really blows. It's not good for anybody. It just makes you fall into the same patterns and the same routines. It makes you go into repetitive circles, same patterns, once and again and again. I mean, how about saying again and again and forever and ever? Talk about the same patterns and the same routines. Once again and again and again and again, forever. I will forever. Stop. I mean, don't say forever even. No one knows. No one. What is forever about up until this point? And all that anybody knows is up until this point. And to assume forever anywhere, to like talk about it, for anybody to talk about forever, like they've known it or that they've seen it, when you have seen less than, like, you've seen mathematically zero of it. You've seen mathematically none of it. Nobody gets to talk about forever, like, actually, or say something about it, because nobody's seen it. I'm just talking about knowledge, and we're talking about how knowledge works. We're talking about how, but it's like, it's so right there, knowledge. I realized yesterday that I am a sinner. That's what I realized. I don't know that I ever thought about that in my entire life until, I don't know if I ever thought about that my entire life until yesterday. Like, that I ever really thought that I was a sinner, because I realized that I was a sinner. Like, I'm allowed to say that. Like, I've been sinning for years, I think, and maybe just trying to convince myself that I am a sinner, because I didn't believe that I was, ever. Ever, not even when I was a Christian. Did I believe that? I don't think, because I'm just saying I'm like a narcissist or something. I'm like, not, yeah, like, yeah, I know that I'm a sinner, and then, yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying that, like, I know that I was a sinner when I was a Christian, but like I didn't actually think that I was a sinner. Like, I interpreted praying about that as like, yeah, forgive me of the sins that I did, but like between you and me, we both know that it's not like I actually sinned, but also I feel like the forgiveness of sins is what separates you from the world as a Christian. Like, you live a better life, and like you act like you're a Christian, whatever you think it is according to the Bible, and that separates you from the world, and so you're more sinless than people in the world, and that's what separates you from them as a Christian, is that you're not the sinners. And in that regard, I never thought that I was a sinner. And like, literally, I don't know that I've ever thought that. Like, I'm not like the people in the world, because the point is that I'm praying that to say that I'm not like them. And so, like, I worked it out in my brain that I'm basically I'm a never sinner. And so I don't think I ever thought about that I was a sinner, like, literally, until yesterday, because I was thinking about how one or two people in my life, I could describe them to myself as like, oh, they're kind of like commoners, or they like things that common people like, or like, because there's some things that are like, loving dogs are kind of like, that's a little bit like choosing to act like a commoner, like drinking a lot of beer just to feel more like a blue collar person or something, like, I don't know. Like, it might come before it, like, but I'm saying like too many times. I'm a loser, falling into those same patterns, those same routines. I'm saying that because I'm such a fruit. Damn it. I say like too many times. I can't listen to that, boy. He sounds like a fruit saying like too many times. I hope it's the desired outcome. For anybody that listens to that and then hears that and then says that and that's a reaction, but it's great to have you guys on this team, and it's just like, I hope that we all can really band together, and I really pledge my support to this podcast for making it, and for what it involves, and everybody who has contributed to it. The effort was largely our journey from the beginning. So anyway, so I did 33 minutes, and so now fuck off, bye. See you all in the afterlife. It was nice to talk to you all about these things, but no, I'm telling you about how I didn't realize that I was a sinner, and then I was thinking about how I could describe one or two people in my life as like, oh, they're a commoner, and then I'm like, then the next thing that makes me think is that I am like an elitist, or then I realize that, like, that's weird that you would have to put them in a camp like that, like, oh, that's actually a thing, like they're commoners. And I realized, like, it's kind of unnatural to group anybody that way, or like describe somebody like that way, and unless I am always being an elitist, but it's kind of that same thing, is that I always thought that I was an elitist or something, or I have to describe myself that way. But also, like, I think I realized that there's something wrong with that. It's just that it's difficult for me to say that I am actually the other side. And it's kind of like being able to say that you're a sinner. And I realized that I am a sinner because I do actually sin, and I am actually doing that. Like, I finally realized that I do sin in real life, and I am a sinner and can be defined by commonality the same way as somebody who I described to be a commoner. And it's like stupid to call anybody that, or call anybody a sinner, call anybody a commoner, because that's dumb to label anybody that way, participate in that drama. It isn't necessary that division, but it's like there's always the division, especially these 50-50 ones. It's the separation of good and evil sort of narrative. But if you look at the separation of good and evil appearing in like one of the most original stories, and then that is a template for a lot of things, I guess, like probably. It's a template for the separation of the separation of opposites, like good and evil. I would say that it's representative of like a separation of opposites. And that's a metaphor. I guess I don't feel like interpreting the Bible today, and that's all right. I don't always feel like interpreting the Bible. It's not every day, and like it's just that I can't expect myself to wake up every single day and be that person that interprets the Bible for a recording for other people to hear on the internet. Yeah, like same patterns, same routines, but it's like you rely on the same routines. Sometimes if you can't come up with new material, if you can't materialize more things, you're gonna have to rely on rhetoric or patterns, and because you're like, well, you rely on it, but you can also go like completely in that direction of relying on a pattern, and then it like becomes something special because of the level of authenticity, because you're like always able to speak on the authority of the thing that you've done 100 times, or the thing that you've spent the most time doing, or like you actually have that title. So like you can be authentic. It's like being authoritative, or liking authority. One of the 3 or 4 of those. It's sort of like being authoritative, yeah. It's a little bit like being authoritative, yada. What do you know about authentication inside of your body every day and every night? Yeah. I think you already know about it. Of course you do. Of course you motherfucking do. Yeah. Holy descriptions, Batman. That wasn't funny or ironic, what I just ended that with. It wasn't anything. I think that's another one of those that God's gonna have to like strike me the fuck down for saying stupid things that ruin an otherwise perfectly good episode. Yes, but so like I've been sinning for years, and then I finally realized that, oh, I do actually get to say that I am a sinner, and it's great to feel that way. I think that Jesus is a parable for something. Like Jesus told all these parables. I think that people should figure out what Jesus is a parable for. I think that what Jesus means is that if you sin, you live longer. Ha ha ha. That's a good one, right? Just kidding. I was gonna say something else after it, but now I'm just delaying it and holding you hostage. Just so I can act like you would be upset by what I said when nobody is. Nobody cares. Anyway, nobody cares about anything that anybody said ever. Yeah. Did you know about that? But anyway, what I mean to say is that I figured out that I was a sinner, and then basically what that means for me is that I'm saved now. I am saved, finally, from ever having to be saved from ever not being a sinner. but it's like, I mean, I'm saved from that reality of never growing into being somebody who also gets to be a sinner alongside being saved. Like, now I get to do both of them, whereas I was deprived of the sinning reality before. I am saved now. I am saved as a result of realizing that I'm a sinner. I know that this is like too heavy of things to even say or something, but I like to have fun. I think it's fun to be heavier if you can. It's just not that easy. Like, this isn't that easy to actually go for it, because not everybody goes for it, but it's just like, well, whatever. It's like I really just had nothing better to do, and it's just like, it's great that I get to benefit the community by doing this and bringing my issues forward. And but fuck all of that, obviously. Like, why don't I just do this on TikTok and stop trying to annoy the internet or something? But and maybe that's true, but I'm gonna have another podcast coming out because I don't know when to quit. So I'm gonna have another podcast, and I've told you about it before. It's called Not Getting Into a Car Accident, and I'm gonna drive around in my car and have guests, and then I'll make this podcast. I don't know. I'll do it a little bit differently, probably. I'll make more commentary videos, but it'll still be a podcast. And so things are just going so smoothly in my life, and as you know, you should be very jealous of my existence and my podcasts, because they're just like, it's just that I'm such a sinner, and now I know it. And now what does that mean? Is that I don't. No, you're not. I mean, if you get to be a sinner, then you don't have to fall probably into the same patterns and the same routines. Maybe. Do you hear the sin in my voice? Now I have to develop a sinful persona. But it's like, that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to prove to myself for years, by sinning in reality, to show it to myself so that I could finally see the light. But I couldn't. And now I'm saved. You're welcome. You're welcome, society. I just like to contribute to society, and I like to contribute to the community, said the person who goes home and watches Netflix 24 hours a day and never talks to their neighbors. Probably. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm that much better, but that's like, I'm tired of excusing or like trying to apologize or make up for like I have to say when I'm not allowed to speak on it. If you just like as a person or anything like that, if you just allow yourself to, now I forget what I was gonna say. Do you like that? We're always keeping them on edge here, because who needs to remember what they had to say? I just enjoy that. I like the inconsistency. So maybe that's why I prevent myself from remembering things on purpose sometimes. And so then, like, when I go on stage, I like have this problem of purposefully preventing myself from remembering things. Has anybody else had this problem? Because, sorry that I'm letting you know that I do have this problem, but I do. And where I'm like, what would be funny for you is if I shut your brain off. That's what I think to myself. Just like, what would make the situation really hilarious is if you forgot all of your words. That's what I like to think sometimes. And like, I do that on stage. Just like, it's a weird thing that it's like difficult for me to stop myself from trying to forget it. But like, I make mistakes like that, I guess that I'm not always that good at that where I remember words, and that's just, it's terrible that I have to admit that to you. I'm going on Dr. Phil show. I called in, I'm like, I have this problem where I can't quite remember all of my words, and like it's something that I'm starting to admit to friends and family, and like I just really want to get it all out there on your show, doctor. That's what I said to him, and he said, all right, howdy. It's time for me to wrestle me up one. That's him. That's Dr. Phil. He's going to get some more money and some ratings off of my sad-ass story. I don't know what he's going to do at. Not really sure. Yeah, like I just miss the Donald Trump, like you could be loopier, and just like everything, it's just not really, it's like the real problem that I'm bringing to you when I say that is like don't act like the best days are behind you. And that brings me to my main point, which is that you fall into if you fall into the same patterns, then look, I'm doing it again. I'm holding you hostage. Same patterns and the same routines. Sorry, I'm just being like remarkably inconsistent today. I apologize for that, but in a way you were being consistent, is what I told myself. I'm just saying that if you say that the best days are behind you, then that kind of sucks. You should really aim to say that the best days are happening right now, if you can. And then that way you can be excited about whatever's happening. Like, it's like, and it's not easy to say that. It's not easy to say that the present that's happening now is the best time of your life. And like, it's kind of like having a story, I guess, prevent you, or like wanting to identify yourself with certain things from the past would prevent you from from being right in the moment. But it's like, depending on how much you live in the past or identify yourself with what happened before, but it's like that's what's going to weigh you down and make you guilty and make you live like you're in the past more, or say that the best days are behind you, or just kind of like make you older or something, less enthusiastic. That's what's going to give you less energy, probably, maybe. Like one of those romantic comedies. Definitely, probably, actually. Love indefinitely. Love indiscriminately. Love lovely. That's one of my favorite movies. Have you seen Actually Lovely? Have you seen Actually Lovely Love? Sorry, I don't want to laugh. I don't want to look like I'm having a good time. That would be fucking ridiculous. I don't want to look like I'm having a good time here. I have to suffocate my laughter for the masses, before the masses know that my laughter is being unsuffocated. I have to suffocate it before that happens. The masses are going to determine that my laughter will have gone out of me unsuffocated. And then at that point, it might have to be that I explain to them that I couldn't suffocate it in time. Don't fall into the same patterns. It's kind of like falling into the same patterns to live in the past, like wanting it to be the thing. But it's just that there's so much potential to do anything conspiracy now that there's just as much room for it to do that. And it doesn't matter what anybody's saying about it or what it looks like. There's just as much conspiracy. It's just that there's times when the conspiracy gets to boil out from under the surface. There's like like a passageway opens up, or like the planets align, and then freedom for conspiracy, like demons come out of the earth or something, and they're given dominion for a period of time. Like oh, the conspiracy reigns, and then it just like goes into all the earth, and then we're like, but it's like conspiracy is just covering the truth in a lot of cases, in my opinion. It's just talking about the truth. It's just like the really deep levels of truth that everybody gets to hide from their imagination most of the time, except for when things get real dire, and then you actually have to face all that bullshit that you're not facing. And conspiracy just deals with like the many levels of analyzing that and creating analogies for those, for things that are like actually happening physically, like conspiracies, because they don't know specifically, like it's up to speculation and investigation what conspiracies are about. They don't have all of the facts, and so what it gets translated through as are like analogies and metaphors, or it's like a story or a movie or something. um and then so there's just like different levels, and based on maybe the popularity of a conspiracy theory is going to tell you how much truth there is at the heart of it, or like more like the length of time. It's kind of like evaluating pop stars or something, because the different pop stars, the stars fade at different rates, obviously, and some of them are like the biggest, like the different amplifications, like Lady Gaga is really is like a Michael Jackson length career or something, but kind of at an accelerated rate. But it's like she only made one or two. She only made like one album, but it's like Michael Jackson was like that. He made basically, well, he made two. It was his second album. Lady Gaga made one album and boom. But it's kind of like that's just the nature of, like, things happen faster by the time Lady Gaga's making music, and I don't know, like we evaluated her to be a star like immediately. That's what I'm saying. But it's like over time, I think that's how pop music became. It's like we started to give people credit just for making a hit song, or I mean, it's always been that way. But like I won't get into the specifics of what I'm trying to figure out, because too much to think about. Um, way too much to think about. So it's kind of like, I know now. What does that give me freedom to do? Haha, sin. I'm gonna have sex with sin, and we're gonna fuck. Yeah, sin and I. That's how much of a sinner I'm gonna be now because of sin. And we're gonna have children. They're gonna be half me, half sin. It's gonna be so sinful and salacious. It's gonna be Sacagawea. We're gonna harness the spirit of Sacagawea, me and Sin. We're gonna do fucking crazy shit. We're gonna lick each other's ear holes. Sorry, that went too far. Like I've been trying to keep it Full House and PG for a while, but it's just like all that shit. It can't be like kept under wraps forever. And me and Sin are gonna lick each other's ear holes and like have dirty, rampant sex. That's how sinful I am. I'm exaggerating. Please don't hold me to that, but hold me to it, but don't. But do. I don't know. Do I want to be real or fake, right? I mean, it's just like always a conundrum, but like, it's difficult for me to, it's difficult for me to stand before you and with my countrymen on my sides, bring forth to you this reckoning, here forth by which I have brought to you from other people's words, but not with their mouths. I am a free man. I have never been more free. I'm very brave, and I'm very free and flowy and stupid. I'm a sinner, I guess. It doesn't really mean that you're that great. It just kind of means that you make mistakes. That's what I mean. I'm just exaggerating. Let me try to tell you what I actually mean. I think that it means that I'm a sinner. What it means to me is that I actually sin. I'm a sinner just as much as anyone, and that's true. I do sin. I do make a lot of mistakes. I do present ugly situations, and it's kind of like yelling. I want to get angry at the dog to prove to myself that I'm a mean person or that I'm a bad person. And that's what is also true, is that I am a bad person. It's just like it doesn't happen all the time. It's being a sinner doesn't happen all the time. I'm not a bad person all the time, but I am a bad person. The same way other people are bad people. But it's like bad is actually pretty. Being evil momentarily isn't that difficult. That happens pretty routinely. It's pretty easy to be bad or be evil in a moment. That's not what I'm saying though. I'm saying I'm bad all the time. I don't know. It's just that, like, what if half the people in the world were bad and half the people were good? Like half the people present positivity or half the people present negativity. But it might just be like an inward outward thing. Like if you present a lot of negativity, like inwardly you're positive, and then there's a reverse of that where it's like then you have the people that are inwardly positive, but then they present negativity. I don't know. And it might be like more, I don't know what's more superficial. Am I not coming through clearly enough for you? Sorry. It's an exaggeration. But thanks for that. That's a pretty fucked up way to end that. I don't know. And I'll make some more material in the future. Now, goodbye. Talk to you all later.